I'm Adam Bettino. I am the Senior Deputy Director overseeing a wide range of programs at the Justice Care and Opportunities Department. First of all, thank you for being here today, just in general. And second, thank you for coming to this really wonderful panel, this discussion that we have. It is timely. This is a really critical time, I think, that we're all feeling and experiencing. I'm going to get to it. You see there's a whole bunch of us, right? I'm going to do my very best. We have some questions lined up. Just want to really kind of set the tone here. What LA County has been able to do through Measure J and through Care First Community Investment, we believe is absolutely groundbreaking. We believe that this is something that is not being done anywhere else in the country, where we've made an investment for alternatives to incarceration. We've made an investment in communities that have been historically underserved, and we're getting dollars into the hands of the people that are on the front lines that are doing the work. Yes, the panelists here, but I gather many of you as well who are caseworkers, case managers on the front lines. That's awkward. That's gigantic. But all the work that you guys are doing every single day to take care of the people who really need it most. So thank you really to all of you as well. Give yourselves a round of applause for sure. So we have a lot to talk about, I think, and I kind of want to just get to it. Rather than spending too much time talking, I want each of these folks to introduce themselves to you all. So do me a favor, we'll kind of, actually, why don't we take it this way?
Okay.
Kind of come down the line if you're all right. Please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. Tell us a little bit about your organization, and really, I think I want to spend some time just talking about why you got into the work and why you show up each and every day and fight for folks.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy McAllister from the wonderful city of Compton, California, and I founded an organization called 511 Hoops. What we do is provide a sports and enrichment program for neurodivergent youth and adults. So that involves sports programs, STEM, camps, and we provide parent workshops to help them navigate the system on how to get resources for their child. I got into this myself. I have a son with autism. He was diagnosed right before he turned 2. I used to play a little basketball, and I had to change what I thought I was going to do in life. And what I found was that there weren't a lot of resources in the sports and just social activities for this population of individuals, and it didn't sit right with me. And as I dug deeper, there wasn't a lot in underserved communities. They were mostly in areas where the average median income was $100,000 or more. So that's what led me to doing what I do. I'm very passionate about it, and what keeps me going are the kids. They're happy to be in a space where they feel just like anyone else, and seeing the looks on their parents' faces, just being happy that their child isn't being excluded in a world that always looks at them differently.
That's great. Thank you.
Check. Jason Heath, Executive Director of Jail Guitar Doors. You might think it's an odd name, but Jail Guitar Doors is the name of an old Clash B-side that was written about our founder, Wayne Kramer, who did 4 years in a federal prison for creative capitalism back in the 80s. He sold drugs to an undercover FBI agent. And while he was incarcerated, music saved his life. He teamed up with Red Rodney, who is John Coltrane's band leader, and he always wanted to do something to give back. Cut to about 15 years ago, Billy Bragg and guys from The Clash started an organization called Jail Guitar Doors in England to do concerts and leave instruments behind. And so Wayne had done a concert at Sing Sing, and Billy Bragg was there, and he had this sticker on his car said Jail Guitar Doors, and Wayne said, "What's up with that sticker?" And Billy Bragg was like, "Oh, it's an old Clash B-side." And Wayne's like, "Yeah, I know, the song's about me. Let me tell you about Wayne and his deals of cocaine." It's like, "Blimey, it is about you." So Wayne said, "I'd like to do that here." And he said, "Good, I was just about to ask you." So we started going around to prisons and doing concerts, leaving instruments behind. It was all well and good, but we knew that the medicine in what we did, the part that kept us relatively sane over the years, was the songwriting, the connecting to other people and collaborating. So we started going down to Men's Central Jail, do that every Tuesday night. We sort of came up with this system where we get 25 guys in like 5 little bands, put them in different corners, pick a topic, struggle, family, love, freedom, write and arrange a song in an hour and a half, and then get back together and play them. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. And so folks that were much smarter than us, Dr. Larry Brewster from San Francisco University, heard about us, was doing some studies on lowering recidivism rates, and specifically the effect of arts and music programming on that. He put us in some studies, and then Kylie Schilling for Arts Incarcerated Network came down, saw what we did, said, "You got to bring this to the youth." We brought it to the youth, and they played our guitars, and they all went, "The hell are those things?" we rap, so we started bringing laptops and recording them, meeting them right where they're at. And our North Star has always been, where's the need? And we kept hearing the same thing from the youth, like, "This is great, but what about when I get out?" Because when I get out, I got falling through windows, doors, snatching chains. That's all that's going on for me. So we said, all right, we're going to get you in the studio. And pandemic hit. We built a state-of-the-art studio and a film editing lab and a podcast studio in West Hollywood. We thought some guys would come and be great, and now we're busting at the seams. And then we learned pretty early in that process that we were in a much bigger game than just teaching people how to make records and movies. Guys would show up that were sleeping in their cars or on couches because they were trying to stay out the way. So like a young man would come in and be doing an internship, and he'd have a black eye, and we'd say, "Hey, what happened?" And they said, "Well, the ops got me." All right, well, be careful. He comes back next week and his jaw's swollen out. "What happened this time?" "Well, my own set got me." So we started thinking, we're going to have to get into the housing game, because if we don't give them jobs and give them housing, they're going to reoffend. The system is set up to put them back in. And so we kept telling everybody that would listen, housing, 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 and then that's where the CFCI money came in through Amity. We got the grant for our housing, and now we've got a full Department of Labor approved hybrid apprenticeships in audio engineering, digital filmmaking, and when the youth step down out of the facility, they come to our house with an apprenticeship that starts at $22.50 an hour. And we just signed the ink is still wet on the contract with probation and Department of Arts and Culture to have a program inside that will pay the youth in the last year of their incarceration while they're getting ready to step down. They'll start at 17, they'll go up to 18, then 20, and then they'll step down to our program. So they'll have a big check waiting for them when they get out. So it's a pre-apprenticeship inside.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you, Jason.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Felicia Carbajal. I use they, them pronouns. That's really important for me as a queer person to address that first and foremost. I'm a community organizer, but I also get to serve as the executive director of the Social Impact Center, an organization I co-founded as a formerly incarcerated leader. At the Social Impact Center, we empower criminalized BIPOC and LGBTQ+ community members through stigma-free organizing, mutual aid, education, storytelling, and community building. Folks always ask, well, what does that mean in practice? Super simple. We have 3 major areas that we address. The first is we have our reentry program. My legal team is sitting back there, so we have an amazing crew who help community members navigate expungement. We also provide free mental health and systems navigation support in our reentry program. In addition, we have a leadership program. So in many past lives, I've had the privilege after coming home to be able to be a part of many movements. From the marriage equality movement when I got married during that tiny little window during Prop 8, and I got to work for the Courage campaign and to usher in marriage for folks, to the legalization of cannabis that subsequently led to cannabis social equity and that movement in particular, which I'm very blessed that our organization got to lead those efforts in particular. So we had lots of groups asking us, how do you build leaders? So we have a leadership program that teaches people how to tell their stories effectively, and then we have another leadership program that affords community members who want to volunteer their time to know how to actually show up the way we, in fact, need them to show up. And then last but not least, and the thing that I'm super excited about is last month we launched our social enterprise. We now are live scan operators. We recognize that this was a very burdensome fee for a lot of community leaders like ourselves in this room who are trying to figure out how do we get the money to cover this. So for us, I ran the numbers, and it just made the most amount of sense. So we're super excited about what this is going to look like. While we no longer are funded by CFCI, we have been able to capture $1 million worth of funding from the state of California, another $150,000 to be able to sustain our expungement work, and part of that is a $50,000 investment specifically for our live scan social enterprise. So when I talk about Measure J and when I talk about CFCI, I just want to remind folks that it works. It's working. We are proof positive that this works. Thank you.
Thanks, Felicia. So we got a lot more folks to get through. I just want to make sure we're in this just interest of time. I'll ask specific questions about CFCI and how it's impacted your organization, but if you can just introduce yourselves and talk about, exactly what your mission is. Thank you.
Sure. First of all, big shout out to JCOD and Amity Foundation. Thank you for creating pathways, right? Shout out. Thank you for creating pathways for us to walk on in these new systems. And together we thrive. My name's Soma Snake Oil. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm executive director and co-founder of the Sidewalk Project. We are a lived experience harm reduction organization. Women, queer, sex worker, drug user, survivor, led, and serving. We're headquartered in Skid Row and also serve MacArthur Park and parts of South LA. And we have a drop-in center in Skid Row that we're very proud of, thanks to a lot of the funding that came from Amity Foundation. And this is a very special drop-in center because it's one of only 2 in Los Angeles, which is sex worker led and serving. And we serve cis and trans women, many of whom are survivors of intimate partner violence, sexual assault, and exploitation. That is some of my lived experience as well, which is why I do the work. I am also a survivor and a sex worker and a former drug user and formerly unhoused. So our team works from our lived experience, working in solidarity for our own people.
Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Reggie Corona. Everyone calls me Reg. I'm super excited to be on this panel. We believe that business is the pathway to economic equity, and building assets gives the opportunity for individuals to take care of themselves, their families, and then their communities. And statistics show that when people are doing well and their families are doing well, they turn outward to the community so that their communities do well. We work primarily with young adults. We've been in business for 10 years now, a little over 10 years, and we've served over 5,000 young adults, mostly in career readiness. But what CFCI has allowed us to do is to bring into existence an entrepreneurship program that we have dreamed about for a very long time and have piloted a little bit. And we are now teaching young adults how to take an idea, turn it into a business, a real viable business, and then we walk with them through that process as they are building their businesses. And as much as we can, we give them grants, stipends, we fund their businesses, we also give them technology to support their businesses. And we give them contracts, so we work with them so that they can have business opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Quintana, and I'm the Executive Director of Centro Cha. We're headquartered in the LBC, Long Beach. Shout out to my team that are here because, the team makes the dream work. So, Centro Cha, shout out to you guys. I'm the Executive Director of Centro Cha. We are the largest community violence intervention and prevention organization in the city. We've been around for over 25 years. We were that very grassroots organization that had about $1,000 in the bank and really needed to work hard to build our infrastructure. And our mission and what we found out was that we really needed to address the economic and poverty issues and the social determinants of health that was happening in our communities, because in Long Beach, we have one of the highest incarcerations of youth coming from Long Beach and the harbor area, most represented in the youth detentions and in the prison systems. And it was very important for us to be able to stop that cycle in our community, being the second largest city in the county. And so we provide comprehensive programs that focus on adult reentry. Robert's our case manager that's over there. We provide, as soon as they get out, really triaging, providing those support services. We focus on youth development and youth reentry. We also look at our environment and the landscapes. Is our parks being utilized in the way that they need to be so our youth have a safe place and recreation activities to go to? Everybody sees Long Beach. It's a beautiful city. All they see is the $1 million homes and the beach. But we really have a tale of two cities in Long Beach, to where we have a lot of violence, gang activity, poor performing schools. And so having the opportunity to have investments from CVI has really supported our organization to roll out a comprehensive program in West Long Beach. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's an honor and we're blessed to be here today. So thank you so much.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Ronaldo Henry Allah, and I'm the Executive Director at Whole Systems Learning. Our program is a youth and adult program to help African American and Latinx youth find their pathway through success, trauma healing, and entrepreneurship, emotional intelligence. My why for doing this was to just help the community that I once destroyed. So that was my why for coming into this, to helping my community, and just thrive, and CFCI has helped with that. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Wilson. I am the Director of Youth Programs and Evaluation for Flint Ridge Center, which is located in Pasadena, California. And I've been with them for over 20 years. Which is hard to believe. What we do is work with youth through adults in removing barriers to them having a successful life. And so for youth, we have prevention, diversion, and reentry for youth up to age 24. For adults, we have our apprenticeship preparation program, which is a training in using MC3 curriculum in construction. And when they finish, they are ready to go into an apprenticeship, making a minimum of like $23 an hour, which they swiftly increase. We also serve reintegration. We do record removal, and we have like a multitude of services to support those adults and youth that are using our services. My why, two whys. One is that shortly before my 15th birthday, I gave birth to a child whom I raised. And while it worked out for me, it's not something I would ever recommend for anybody else. And as I was raising my son, there were 5 boys, including my son. And of those 5 boys, 2 of them are in their 40s and are still incarcerated and have been incarcerated for years. And I just wanted to commit my life to work that makes a difference in the lives of youth, that really, I know what would have made a difference for me. I think I know what would have made a difference for those young men who ended up in prison. And that's my work, to be that difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you to JCOD and Amity that provide us foundation for us, the opportunity where we can grow and learn. My name is Thuy Nguyen. I'm an executive director for Fear for Breakfast. So Fear for Breakfast is mean that facing your fears. We challenging everybody. Wake up early in the morning to face your fear. Fear could be anything that challenge in life. Anxiety, depression, just get released from prison, go on and on. I myself are formerly incarcerated. I came into the system when I was barely 17 years old. I served a total of 19 years in correctional facilities. So I learned the whole way how people in jail and prison face their anxiety and fear. So our program is started on 4 different paces. One, in prison program and workshop. The second phase is community wellness, and the third phase would be training and internship program, and the fourth phase would be community engagement. And we started it in 2021 through the COVID. That's where the name came from, Fear for Breakfast. And at the time, I remember everybody facing a lot of anxieties. And at the time, I just barely got released from prison. And I started a profit business. And it went really bad. And so I thought about, okay, maybe we can turn this into a nonprofit. At the time, I just thinking about be part of the community. I wasn't thinking about that we try to make the career out of Fear for Breakfast or anything. But slowly, the community, the university invest in us, give us a small grant, and slowly led into the CFCI funding, and that's amazing. It's provide us a lot of skill, knowledge, resources. It helps us grow and improve. And today, last year, we served the total of 547 unduplicated individuals in San Gabriel Valley. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Remy. My title with Dream, Live, Hope is Director of Housing, but I am a community servant. I serve the community. That's what it's all about at Dream, Live, Hope. That's our culture. That's how we move. Everything is about the people. Dream, Live, Hope specializes or offers housing to the reentry community as well as to the homeless community. We also have a youth program called Push for Peace. Every one of the individuals in these particular programs are introduced to what we have found are contributing factors to incarceration or the lack of successes out here, and that is emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, and financial literacy. So those that are in our house and those that are in our youth program, they go through these courses with the goal of positioning them to have a better quality of life. It is my why. Like Ronaldo said, I was one of those individuals that, caused a lot of chaos in my youth. And I feel like for a long time I was on the wrong side of things. And so Dream, Live, Hope provided a platform for me to be on the right side of things. another why, after doing almost 28 years in prison, I came home May of 2022. The first thing I saw when I left the bus station was homelessness, but it was a different type of homelessness. I saw 12 and 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds. And that day, I said, I'm going to be a champion for the cause of homelessness. And so coming to Dream Live Hope, it was already established. These things were already being done. The real appeal for me, though, was that I watched how the individuals that came before me, I watched how we had individuals coming to the house and they couldn't afford to pay. And the CEO said, that's okay, we'll figure it out. We're not sending anybody back to the streets. That's what I want to be a part of. And so I've committed, since I've been with Dream Live Hope. I tell the CEO, the boss all the time, I'm not going anywhere, bro. I'm going to be here as long as we're doing this, and we're doing it this type of way. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy. So I'm going to push pause for 1 second. Do we have anybody from the JCOD CFCI team in the house? Can you all stand up? Can we give them a round of applause? So what you all may not even see from a grantee perspective is these are the folks that are behind the scenes. Anytime, we were wrestling this morning actually with the next spending plan. So some of you are year 1 grantees, year 2, year 3. This is the team that's putting all of that work together. So we're taking that 10% that the county has designated as a set aside, and they're the ones that are doing the hard work, putting together the spending plans, putting all that together so that we can work with Amity, who's our third-party administrator, to actually get the grants out to you folks. So just want to give a shout out to that team there, all the work that they do. Thank you. A couple of you touched on this already, and I don't want to really go into line. I think we can just kind of popcorn from here on out as we go through this. A couple of you talked about the impact that the Care First Community Investment has made on your organization. And I just want to hear a little bit more. How has it helped you grow your business? How has it helped you touch more lives? How has it helped you hire staff, build buildings, acquire things? Just want to hear a little bit more about how directly the grant funding has impacted your organization.
I'll speak to that. We've been able to grow, and we've been able to finally, something we've always wanted to do is to have a program that addresses the same needs in the youth spectrum and then on the adult side. And there's some of the same things there. So now we're serving youth who are referred, that's our prevention arm, who are referred by the schools, or maybe their parents are having trouble or whatever. So we're serving those youth. But we also received funding, and that in part is based on us receiving the CFCI funding for 2 county grants. And so we have diversion, and then we have reentry, which is a new program of theirs, RAY, Reentry Action for Youth. So it's allowed us to grow. I've been director of youth programs for about 10 years. When we started, I teased the person I used to work with. I said, remember it was the 2 of us, and we would go to Smart and Final and buy some bread and some meat and stuff, and that was a field trip. That was a field trip, and we'd make spaghetti and all this other stuff. I said, now we have more kids. So we went from a staff of 2 several years ago to now a staff of 7. And that's growth for us. We've had to change where we're at. We're able to do more for the kids in terms of internships and have them, learning the world of work under our guidance. So it's really made a huge difference for our youth programming, especially. It's
Incredible.
made a big difference.
Now, Lisa, the RAY program you mentioned, is that in partnership with Department of Youth Development?
it is in partnership with Department of Youth Development.
So I want to highlight that because one of our goals at JCOD is really to stand up community-based organizations as much as possible. Because again, as I mentioned, you all are on the front lines, right? You guys are doing the work. Stand up and position you all to utilize these grants to then be able to position yourselves for other contracts with other county departments. I know some organizations have been successful in doing that. So I just want to point it out and highlight it because that's a huge win, right? We've taken some seed money, right, which is essentially what these grants are in a lot of ways, and we've already moved that to a contract with the county department. So that's a huge win. That's wonderful. Love that.
Yeah, real excited about that.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, we've been able to grow staffing, programming, infrastructure. I don't know if Crucio is in the room from my team from the Sidewalk Project. If you could stand up. But I'll just highlight Crucio for a moment. Crucio likes to say, "I'm a drug dealer, but not today." And one of the things that we've been able to do is pay him specifically to paint murals throughout Los Angeles. He painted this gorgeous mural inside of our drop-in center, very much funded by Amity Foundation and JCOD. But we've also been able to pay young people and community members to paint alongside of him. And I'll just say we've grown from a 13-person staff to 22 people as a result of some of this funding, and we've doubled our housing numbers. So we went from whatever it was to this past year, 178 people that we got into interim and permanent housing. And as a result, we've also been able to increase our harm reduction efforts. And in 2024, LA County saw a 22% reduction in overdose deaths as a result of funding from CFCI and opioid settlement dollars. And my team in particular was responsible for distribution and direct response to overdoses, and we saved over 1,000 lives just in 2024. So, I just want to say this money is life-saving and vital, and we need to keep it going.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, ladies first.
We'll go boy, girl, boy, girl. Go ahead, you go, and then I'll go after.
So for us, definitely been life-changing. It allows us to reach a broader demographic of individuals that are coming in through our housing. As I said, homelessness is something that I'm championing. We have 100 beds at our facilities and access to over 200. And with these partnerships, we're housing way more individuals. But I want to do a shout out too. Not only the infrastructure, we went from the volunteers to 17 full-time staff, and we've been able to put systems in place, operational systems in place that have definitely been helpful to the brand. But we also have these individuals that are coming to the house now. And I want to recognize, I have my participants in our program, two of these individuals under JCOD came in as emergency housing, and two of them are now employed with us. So that's the thing that, I don't know when you're putting it all together, if you actually think that far, that some of the individuals that are going to be coming into the house could wind up being employees for the brand.
Amazing.
So that's good.
That is
Amazing.
Thank you.
Jessica, go ahead.
So the investment from the Cares First CFCI has really helped us to continue to strengthen our trust in the community. We rolled out a very comprehensive program to where we now are the first organization to have a partnership with the school district and have a site on site in the high school, and that's through our Safe Passages program. Cabrillo High School in West Long Beach, if you know, you know, there has been an area that really has had a high crime, high violence. The school's had fights every single day. The school is adjacent to Admiral Kidd Park, so there was constant shootings, constant deaths, injuries, things happening in that area. And through the funding really helped us to roll out a program not only to be active during the school year, but to activate the park during the summer till the evening. So really having a comprehensive strategy to addressing violence in that community. getting our intervention workers to be trained, to be CIWs through the Urban Peace Institute, so that paid for that specialized training. We also have youth ambassadors. They're called MVP. We train them to be peer violence prevention ambassadors, so they work throughout the year and then really activate them at the summertime, and they have summer jobs. And then also because we have a community violence intervention hub, and we're really trying to build out the ecosystem in CVI work. We have 5 organizations that we've been able to fund and subcontract through our contract that we have with the Cares First program. So it has just, we have made tremendous impact. The violence has gone down in the high school. People feel safe now to walk to and from school. Our team has developed a great relationship with the kids, with the staff, with the principal. Long Beach Unified School District loves us. And, you know, during the summertime, we have businesses that provide support, you know, bring meals out for the kids. We do everything through arts and culture. That's so important, as everybody knows, and this is what I've heard on the stage, is that, you know, breakthroughs of really understanding their identity and who they are, where they come from, you know, through the funding has just built our infrastructure in our advocacy work. We just recently purchased our first building for the organization. We have moved like 8 times, and for the first time, we've been able to purchase our building. Our building will be breaking ground in the coming spring. And then we've also been able to advocate for the first Latino Cultural Center at Cesar Chavez Park. So this funding has really helped us to strengthen those infrastructures with those systems, with our city government, with our Long Beach Unified School District, to have our youth trained, be advocates, really exercising their civil rights, and just building out that ecosystem for safer communities. So
Incredible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And my team is right there. So my Safe Passages team, who deal with 1,000 students every day, raise your hand.
Jason?
Yeah, you know, I think about the Care First community investment, and you know, the CFCI for us was the first grant that we got for our housing, which allowed us to bring on formerly incarcerated youth on our staff. And one of them is here, Kenzo Sowe, there in the blue suit, the good-looking young man. I met him at Los Padrinos about 2017, and our dream was always, you know, we're going to be able to bring these guys in. They're going to go back in and they're going to teach these workshops, right? I mean, I'm cool, they like me, but I'm an old white rocker. But when Kenzo goes in there, he can do in 6 minutes what it takes me 6 months to a year to get, right, with the trust. And so he represents the first we brought on, and then again we were able to get the DYD, YDN, and the Ray. Now Kenzo represents about 10 guys that are on our staff now as caseworkers, credible messengers, peer mentors. And we were directly able to do that because of the CFCI and the housing grant that we got first.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to add, for us, we were funded under an area that's a little bit different from all of our colleagues, which is putting money back into the community through small businesses and lifting up small businesses. And through our work with our first cohort going through an accelerator program, we were able to put over $11,000 back into the hands of young adults and helping them to start their businesses. We're now moving into a stage where we will be paying for technology. We will be paying for their filing fees, a lot of the things that stands as a barrier between them and successfully starting their businesses. And then beyond that, bringing other resources to help them get contracts. One of the most difficult things to do, even for us, is getting contracts for our nonprofit businesses to generate revenue. And for small businesses, that is a very difficult thing to navigate. And I was fortunate enough to have worked for the County of Los Angeles for 25 years, and I left as an executive manager. And one of the things that I understood very well is how to navigate contracting with the county of Los Angeles and budgeting. If you know how to budget in LA County, you can budget anywhere else. And so being able to take that knowledge and the resources that we have access to and put it into the hands of young adults, and we are now working with those who are re-entering into society to give them entrepreneurship opportunities as well. That for us is probably the most impactful thing. It's great that we get to work on our organization's infrastructure, but the biggest thing that we wanted to be able to do is have impact in the communities by giving back. So we become the bridge to receive the money and turn it right back around and give it back out. That is, you don't get to see that often through funding, and we are so grateful for that. That is hugely impactful because that little bit can go a long way to have transformation in a person's life.
That's amazing. That's amazing, and I think, thank you for that, Reg. You know, we talk about impact, and a lot of you, as you sort of started answering the first question, there's a lot about folks that have invested in us, right? And now you all are leading these organizations and get the opportunity to invest in communities. Yes, we've talked about kind of the impact to your organizations. I'm curious as we talk about care first. And that's kind of not only a theme of obviously our discussion, but generally I think the work that we do at JCOD, and you know, we're a sort of a whole person care department. Anything that folks need, we're going to try to take care of them and meet them where they're at. I think your organizations very much are the same. I want to ask about kind of how you all interpret care first. And then rather than talking about like the larger community, even your organizations, is there like a story, is there a person that comes to mind that you've been able to impact in your work? Is there an individual that you know, a story that you can tell us, please?
Yeah, I have a couple of stories, but through CFCI, through Care First, just like everybody else here, we were able to build a community center. New Roots Development Center, which we have an entrepreneur room. We have entrepreneur space, mentoring space. We've been able to hire 7 new case managers, 2 youth case managers that now work for us, been through the program. But through the Care First, the story that I have is I have a youth named Raimundo. And through CFCI, right before we got to CFCI, he had came into our program, and he was dealing with, you know, financial instability with his family. He was dealing with gangs and things of that nature, failing in school. So, you know, we took him into our program, and through CFCI, we were able to put him, not only bring him up, have him graduate from high school, but we found out what his dream and his passion was, which was barber school, and to become a barber. So we committed to him that we'll put you through barber school and build you a barber. Build you a barber booth in our facility. So as soon as he graduated from barbering school, yes, he's now our barber at Whole Systems.
I love that, yeah.
So yeah, with the funding, like you said, like everybody said, we've been able to scale, which has been important, and be able to be consistent with our programming. But we got, like I said, my man said, there's a lot of stories that I could share, but 2 that's coming to the top of my head is I had one young lady, high function, autistic, and she did a couple of weeks with our programs, and she told us this is the first time I felt like I belong somewhere. Mm-hmm. She said at school I get teased, they think I'm different, and she like broke down crying. So that always stuck with me. And then most of our adults and kids, they come from loving families. We had an instance where we had 2 young men who had autism, and they were in a foster home. Total different dynamic. And they shared their family dynamic of what was going on, and it kind of hit me. And it was kind of troubling. Like, it was a little difficult in the beginning. Just they had some behaviors that they had developed just due to not being loved, not feeling cared, being bounced around. And we got through to them, and they said, this is the first time I felt like I was loved. And a few of my staff just broke down crying. I'm just like, dang, you know, and you just have to approach them differently. They want to see, are you going to meet them at their level and listen to them and understand them and not be someone that's just like an instructor, but you're actually there to be, you know, be with them through what they're going through and being heard. So those two stories, they hit home, and I always tell this to everybody. And yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Felicia?
So I think I shared we have a volunteer program. And so we had this young adult who was a part of Cal State Dominguez Hills. A lot of the students participate with us. And she'd come a couple of times and was really excited. She had sat through our declaration writing workshop so that she had this deeper understanding of how she can support the community. And I don't know if it was the second or the third, it could have been the fourth time that she volunteered, she brought her dad because her dad needed to get his record expunged. So on top of her dad getting what he needed and didn't even know that this was something that was an opportunity for him, she came back around to us and told us that she got healing by hearing her dad's story and helping him write his story about who he was before, who he is today, and who he dreams about of being in the future to the judge. And she got to see her dad in an entirely new light. She got to heal from things that she's like, I didn't even know that I needed this. And so those are some of our success stories, that we were able to not just scale like he shared, but in addition to be able to bring that healing and to bring that intergenerational healing, that a volunteer who didn't even know that she needed that got it.
Amazing.
Sorry, boss, but I'm going to do it.
All right.
Like everybody else, many stories, but it is my belief that there is no success story without good leadership. Our CEO demonstrates for us daily the way we have a motto, cause no harm, and he is the essence. He's the essence of that. I don't care what's going on. I don't care, it could be super stressful, people yelling at him. This man is cause no harm. Try to relate, understand what they may be going through so that we can help them. Don't personalize. The initials, Dream Live Hope is the name of the company, the organization. The initials, they are the initials of his victim. And he tells us, wear that proudly. Y'all represent. So, because he leads the way he leads, he sets the tone, he gives us the example that sprinkles down. And we learn how to deal with everybody in our organization by watching the model that he gives to us. And so I know you said no organization, but literally it starts with him.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. Where's he at?
Kevin Waters.
So many of our team and all of our interns are formerly incarcerated. And for us, going through the system, get released back to the community is terrifying, just to thinking about how can we get a job, how can we be able to pay the bill and move on with life, and it's tough. And a lot of our interns are barely got released from jail and prison. And they came to our program, the challenge that they always thought that they can have to face, and it's not easy. And for us to care for each single one and provide a platform for this individual, it's a tremendous impact on their life. And every time when you meet them and talk to them, sit down, talk to them, they always thinking about how can I get a house, how can I get money to pay my bill for my rent and stuff like that, and go on and on. And as you say, care first and jail last. And you know, a lot of us, we just afraid to go back in jail because if you don't have this opportunity, you don't have all the resources. You're gonna have to figure out a way how to deal with life. That is I see a lot of people that re-entry, and also and they end up committing crime and go back in jail. And so for us to care for this individual and provide all the opportunity for them and give them hope, most of our staff members are lifers. And you know, a lot of us going through hell just to go into the pro board. We have to take in class every single day, just prepare for the board. And so come out here and with the opportunity that, you know, JCOD and Amity provide this platform, Care First, Jail Last for us, it's helped us a lot, give us hope. It gives us a lot of hope. And just to, you know, I myself, like without this, I don't even know what my future look like. And
That's great. Soma?
So in LA County, they say care first, jail last. Our team believes care always, jails never.
Yes.
And because we are criminalized people and we work with criminalized people, we understand that criminalization is not just what happens in jails for adults, but also the child welfare, so-called child welfare system can function in that way. LA County tried to take my kid away with DCFS when I was younger because I was a sex worker, and it's something that we're very passionate about. And one thing that we see is that drug-using women sometimes will not go to hospital because they're afraid their kids are gonna be taken away at hospital. And a couple of years ago, I responded right after one of these births to a woman who was a drug user. She didn't want to go to hospital. I convinced her, you have to go to hospital. This could, you know, your baby's life is at risk. And of course, when she got to hospital, they took her baby away. So, you know, because we work over a long period of time and with relationships, we were able to work with this woman and with DCFS and get her reunited with her child. And now she has, you know, she's sober. She has her daughter with her, who's now 2 years old. And so we want to just say over and over again, care always, jails never, and stop separating families.
We had one individual, so to get into our accelerator program, you have to fill out an application, and we take you through an interview process just to really understand, are you ready to start a business? And we had one individual who actually was formerly incarcerated, and we were excited to be able to bring him into our program, but he knew nothing about business, so he really wasn't ready. And I went home, I discussed it with one of our board members, and our board member advocated for him. And he said, you absolutely need to give him an opportunity. So we did, we brought him into the program, and he struggled a little bit. And one of the things about our program is it's not just about helping you build your business. We literally we have a navigator that weekly does case management, which is unheard of when you're building a business, right? But we know from past experience that when there are life problems, you can't focus on the other stuff. So if we don't understand what's happening in life, then oftentimes, honestly, people just go ghost on us. They're MIA, and we don't hear from them anymore. So we implemented the case management to sort of, you know, attack that directly. And because of that, we found out, so this person, as he was in our program through those 12 weeks, he was going to become homeless. And we would not have known that if we were not also doing that case management component. Once we learned that, we immediately went into action and start reaching out to CFCI partners and looking at who has housing and who could help with the situation. And we were able to, I believe within a week, I made a couple of phone calls, and within a week, we had a place for him to go to.
Incredible.
That was huge, because otherwise he would have been another statistic. He just told us, oh, don't worry about it, I'll figure it out. Because that's what he was used to. He's just used to trying to figure it out and survive. But we were that stopgap to come in and say, no, you're not in this alone. You don't have to figure it out on your own. We will bring resources to the table. And that's what I love about this CFCI network as well, because it's not just us as organizations doing what we do. It is the network doing what we do, right? We are all trying to move the bus forward and turn it into a bullet train with impact. And doing that alone, yes, you can have success, and maybe one or two partners you can have success, but when we come together and really start strategizing and looking at the ways that we can help lock arms and support each other, we become better supports for those that we're providing services for.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I want to do one more, and then that's the clock. So I'm gonna pivot because we only have a few minutes left. Jason, go ahead.
Tell you another story.
Yeah.
All right, this story, it starts off a little bit sad, but it has a happy ending. Our North Star has always been like, where's the need? We just go, and we kind of don't think about it a lot, and we head forward. And so we had our first group of youth that came through in our Fresh Tracks program, which is 12-week multimedia production class. And one very talented young man by the name of Tosh Hubbard was in that class. And, I'm 20 years sober myself. I began to notice some things in him. So I sat him down and I said, look, hey, I want to take you to an AA meeting. He said, I'm not doing that. I said, well, what if I get you a therapist? He said, yeah, I could do that. And at the time, we didn't have therapists because we were new. We didn't know how to do this, really. So I said, I'll get you a therapist. And unfortunately, 4 days later, he overdosed on fentanyl. But the silver lining in that is that we swore we would never get caught in that area again. And so that changed our modality of what we were doing, that we were going to take the investment into mental health care workers. So we got all of our graduate council guys together. We said, look, we're going to bring in therapists, and there's a huge stigma in the community that we work with that they're not into that. And so they would say, yeah, the hell you're bringing any therapists? I ain't talking to nobody. And so we just made a promise. We said, look, they're gonna have shared experiences. They're gonna look like you. We'll bring them in. And we started these circles, mental health circles, facilitated by Dr. Brown and Darius Carter. And then slowly but surely, they opened up themselves to talk therapy. Now everybody in our program has their own therapist they meet with through Grow Your Potential. And it has really, the community that's based out of those circles is really at the core of what we do. Yeah. They support each other, they model for each other, and the stigma is gone. People are learning, and so that was an investment that we were able to do.
Thank you. So we only have a couple minutes left, which I kind of just want to keep hanging out and talking, to be totally honest, and we can do that after, right? But there's been a lot of, really lately, by the way, a lot of community engagement effort around Measure J, around CFCI. We feel like, first of all, this is something that was dreamed, right, from the community, community-led and pushed the ballot measure forward, and then fought in court to make sure that we had CFCI in place. This is something that our Board of Supervisors has been very committed to. You see our team and JCOD in a lot of ways the embodiment of the Care First initiatives. I want to ask a question, really, and this is a question for our audience and some of our partners. Knowing that this has been so hard fought, we know that it's going to continue to be hard fought. What are some ways that folks in the room folks who will watch this later, what are some ways as partners, advocates, funders, what are some ways that they can help to support and sustain the work that you all have been able to do through Care First Community Investment? Please.
You know, Adam, I think we've seen these type of funding initiatives come and go, right? You know, unfortunately, we just got our funding cut at the federal level because of this administration not investing in community violence intervention and prevention. So our CVI funding was cut, you know, a lot across the nation and also, you know, here in LA County. We were doing the great work, you know, keeping our community safe and using all the best strategies and practices. I think, you know, we in LA County is resilient. I think that was proven effective when we seen some of the raids come to our community and folks stood up and didn't stand for it. So I think that we collectively need to continue to say how this has worked, how this investment from Measure J continues to invest in our communities, our homes, the values of our families and youth, schools, you know, playgrounds, parks. I mean, everything that we're doing here in reentry is so important to the well-being of each and every neighborhood and city and community across the county. And so I think that, you know, collectively we need to continue to make that voice loud and show the impact because we have significant improvements with this funding. We have done great things in turn, you know, our county around and through the investments.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
telling stories and, of course, advocacy.
Yeah. Lisa?
You said, you know, we've been seeing funding all these years. Those of us that have been in the nonprofit sector for a long time have seen things come and go and groups come into the community and bring, you know, consultants from the Bay Area to lead us in, you know, discussion and all that. When it works, I wish we weren't penalized for it working. It's almost like I do a lot of volunteer work with mental health. And the thing with people who have a mental health condition, too many of them, they'll take their medicine and then they'll stop because they're feeling better.
Right.
I'm feeling better. You feeling better because you take your medicine. You know, if you stop, you're going to not feel better anymore. And it's the same with this funding. We're successful because it's supported and we're able to do amazing things with it. Our programs, both for youth and adults, are amazing because of this funding. Yeah. And it needs to keep coming so that we can stay amazing and continue the work.
That's great. Thank you. Felicia, you want to do a mic drop for us?
I sure do. So for me, like, I find a lot of hope in this room. Like, I literally see the future. I mean, the gentleman over here said he just came home in 2022, 2023. Like, we are the future. So what this is going to call for all of us, especially those of us who are funders, get ready to break bread. We have to start protecting our wins, and our win was Measure J, and Measure J is in jeopardy. I'm going to say it one more time. Measure J is in jeopardy. That means CFCI, and the funding is in jeopardy. The funding that trickles down to us, the funding that provides JCOD the ability to do the amazing work that they do. So what that's going to call for a lot of us, and I know I run an organization too. I'm busy. The work is hard and it's heavy. But I'm going to challenge a lot of the folks who are in this room who are my peers in particular, and I'm just going down because this light is in my face, and it's a little too much for me. And I'm very passionate about this because I show up at Board of Supervisors meetings all the time. I'm a part of Reimagine LA's coalition and having these conversations and trying to find us the resources that we need to protect our wins, because if we know history, I don't have to share everybody. He already said what's happened. The stalling, the stopping, the cutting, it's going to happen, and it's contingent upon all of us who are in this room to protect our wins, to protect the future that we've dreamt of.
Yep.
I love our future. It is beautiful. It is filled with so many beautiful black and brown bodies. I cry every time I think about that portion of hope. So the challenge is get off your rears, send in those letters, and join us in this fight. Or don't be mad when somebody like me says, well, I told y'all so. Remember this day, we told you that this was in jeopardy and we could lose it all. And the 2 million of us who voted for this, start challenging them too. So my call out is get involved. Put your money where your mouth is. If you've got it in this room, I don't see a lot of funders, but put your money where your mouth is. Help us protect these wins. Help us continue to build, grow, and create the sustainable justice that our community calls for at this moment, and true care. Care delivered by us.
So good. We're over time. We're way over.
Okay.
So we knew this would be challenging. That thing's been at 0 for I don't know how long. Do you guys even know? We're over. I apologize. Can I just say thank you? Thank you for today, for this hour that we got to spend together. Thank you for the hours and hours and hours and hours that you all put in every single day to take care of people, take care of our communities, keep our communities safer. Thank you for the work that you all do. And thank you, all of you, for being here today, for coming on out, for supporting not only the work that these wonderful folks do, but the work that JCOD does as well. We really, really appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you.
Thank you.